It's Tuesday, May 1st, 2012. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we talked to Luke Crane about his game, Mouse Guard. You may have heard of it.
Let's do this. So it's warm today,
It is pretty warm today.
but more importantly, today is the 1st of May.
Very important day.
It's first.
The
of
police
May,
were
1st of
ready
May,
outside of my
out
office for whatever may happen.
I was
on the 1st of
referring.
May.
I was referring to the musical.
I'm also
reason.
referring to the musical representation of what happens on the first day of the month of May.
If you have not heard the 1st of May and what you should do today, there's pretty much.
Well, you better
nothing.
get on that.
Yeah.
So we've got an interview with Luke Crane, the designer of the Mouse Guard game based on the comics, and based on the comics with
same
the comics.
name.
Yeah. So we're gonna get right to that. We're gonna skip news and that sort of thing, but first. I guess it's time for Things of the Day.
No, it's the 1st of May. It's time for something completely different.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of videos, and the way I always describe this is it's a video that is a compilation of something from either a movie that keeps happening or a thing from a whole bunch of different
Right.
media that's
so
all the same
you've
word.
used these
So
at Things of the Day a lot of times, like all the glass breaking in Total Recall.
or my favorite version of Pulp Fiction that's just people saying the word fuck.
Or every
Tom
Tom
Hanks
Hanks
peeing.
peeing, yeah.
You
So,
know, I can't help but see Tom Hanks and think about peeing now.
Right.
Like,
So
I see him. If I ever meet him, I'm going to be like, so what's up with you peeing in movies?
Right, so that again,
It's like
apparently
part of your contract.
these are called supercuts now.
Well-
That's the word people have decided on.
Well, so basically, someone made a site, and the idea is to collect all of these things that are defined as the noun supercut. A fast-paced montage of short video clips that obsessively isolate a single element from its source, usually a word, phrase, or cliche from film or TV. So I love that I live in a world where I can have a desire, a hobby so specific as this, and there is a site now dedicated to it.
So according to Urban Dictionary, a supercut is a fast-paced montage of short video clips that obsessively isolates a single element from its source, usually a word, phrase, or cliche from
Well,
film and
how
TV.
about that? We got two sources. So-
I'm willing to bet the same guy. Oh, you know who typed this in? Wax Pancake. That's Andy Bayo, I think, is that guy.
well, this is a waxy.org project.
Oh.
Oh,
So he definitely
plot
is the
thickens.
one who typed it into whatever.
writer and tech entrepreneur in Portland, Oregon. He works on Expert Labs.
He used to be the
helped
CTO
build
of Kickstarter. Yeah.
Founded Upcoming, made an album and other stuff. I'm reading his webpage.
Yeah, it's an important guy. You should know. You should know that guy.
All right, so that's what I got.
All right. So check this out. Some guy in Paris. There's a fountain. It's like a big pool, but it's not a still reflecting pool like in DC. It's a pool with fountains, right? And apparently, and there's tables and chairs all around it. It's in a public park, and people. Some guy sat near the fountain next to the side of the pool, and when the fountain went off, he took a picture from such an angle, or his friend did, that it looked like he was peeing the fountain because the fountain was on the other side of him, and it looked like he was having an enormous pee while sitting in the chair.
Ho ho, a standard and classic picture.
So he posted this picture to the internet and said, "Lols,
It's a good picture.
good picture." Someone replied and was like, "I took same picture, same fountain," and people just started posting all this same picture with the same fountain with different people in it.
Well, what I want to see is a picture from a long time ago, like on that 70s sort of.
So of course, some guy created a Tumblr. Look, I'm original.tumblr.com, which is. The title is "The Best Picture I Took in Paris," holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa is so 2005, and it's just every picture of people at this fountain and similar fountains.
This is
doing
the
same
biggest. This is the
thing.
revolution that Tumblr did. In the old days, you'd say, "Oh, that's the name of my cover band," or "That'd be a great name for a metal band," or rock band. I guess before there was metal, but now you say, "That's my new Tumblr."
Well, in a way,
but the difference is that if you say that's your new Tumblr, most likely you're going to end up making that Tumblr because it doesn't take much effort.
This is what I'm saying, is that these Tumblrs are supercuts.
Yeah, of,
right?
of the internet.
It's a supercut of photos or a supercut of stuff, right?
But supercut is a subset of those sorts of supercuts dedicated solely to that in the visual medium of
I want to know
movies
why they made
and TV.
supercuts.org instead of just a Tumblr, supercuts.tumblr, which would have been supercut of supercut.
Better branding. I mean, I would make a radio-free Equestria site if I wasn't just lazy.
Yeah. But anyway, you get the idea.
So very briefly, in the meta moment, we're going to be at Kineticon. If you wanted to submit a panel to run at Kineticon or a lecture or a workshop, the deadline's passed, so do it soon because I'm currently scheduling stuff. We will be at, not this weekend, but next weekend, ZenkaiCon, where we will be presenting a couple of lectures. PAX Prime is coming up in some months. We'll be there. And a bunch of other cons. If you want to see us at Otakon, well, tell them. We submitted events like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Luke, we had you on the show some time ago with
some
Jared.
billion times.
Yeah, talking about just games and stuff, but we've never actually really talked deeply about Mouse Guard.
I think it's been a while since we've talked about a game and just haven't shot the shit.
Yeah, we pretty much always just talk about things in general or conceptual things and whatnot.
Yep. Or the old days, we'd go to cons
and we're doing it now again.
Yeah.
Already.
But now I think the problem is we're actually all busy at PAX. Like, actually busy.
Yeah, for reals busy.
And sick.
Only you got sick.
Well, Jared got half sick.
Yeah, Jared was also.
The thing is, that
he was
used to
not in
happen to us.
podcasting condition. That was for sure.
There was an Otakon years ago where we could not talk for like 3 days after the con. I was coughing up blood. It was not a sight to see.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've lost my voice at a con, actually. I've learned to speak in a smooth con voice.
And the trick is to not say stuff when you don't need to say stuff.
True. Oh, there's
Like
a double trick for me, and that was hiring people to demo my games.
Very good move.
Yeah, I feel like you can't hold it in when you're doing a demo. Like once someone, I guess, starts burning something, sometimes metaphorically, sometimes not.
Yeah, I'm a man for funny voices, so I can't resist shouting my my bad dwarven brogue.
But yeah, Mouse Guard. So I guess we've played Mouse Guard a little bit, and I think I played with some of you guys once. I played a weird remake of Mouse Guard, some fan made that was all steampunk at a con. Thor was in the same game.
Yeah, that was at 11/11.
It was
right?
at 11/11/11.
Right. Yeah, that was my friend Mike Miller. We made kind of a Gaslight version.
It was actually neat, but it was the last game of Mouse Guard I've played because I've been so busy. I haven't even played really anything lately.
Yeah, we tried to play it once on our own, but I ran it and I wasn't so good.
Yeah,
it was pretty sad.
Yeah, it takes a bit of a mental shift to get into the Mouse Guard mindset. Burning Wheel players have a hard time with it because it tweaks a lot of the Burning Wheel rules and kind of throws a lot of them out too. And people who play kind of traditional role playing games have a hard time with it too because it introduces some paradigms that you don't see in traditional role playing.
So
games.
what's the biggest paradigm shift? Like for D&D 3.5 guy never went to 4 because he thinks it's not old school enough, but yet he's not old school enough to have played advanced Dungeons.
You mean the guy who's
Dragons.
playing Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 3.5 Pathfinder, like that guy. Like what's the biggest paradigm shift? Like what makes Mouse Guard so different?
Well, I think it's kind of a 2-lane paradigm shift. On one hand, on the GM side is the turn structure, right? And that we feel like we just kind of teased out how people really play role-playing games, but we're arrogant pricks. And basically, we just made a game, and the game has a turn structure. And we gave it a turn structure because we wanted people who don't play role-playing games to be able to come to it and say, "Oh, look, a game has turns. This game has turns. In the turns, I say funny things and I roll some dice." Like, okay, it's not a big leap for people who don't play role-playing games. People who do play role-playing games, a turn structure such as it is problematic. But get over it, people. And then on the player side of things, it's the idea that you're not power leveling. You're not you're not power leveling. There's power gaming in Mouse Guard, but it's just not in the same extent. It's very easy to power game in Mouse Guard because we don't really care. And there's a lot of player driven action. Like your character and what your character wants is basically going to be the story.
So the turns in Mouse Guard, right? It's the player turn and the GM turn, right? But
Correct.
it's not like a board game where your turn is very well defined. Like you do these actions and your turn is over, right? It's sort of like there's a long GM turn and then a little player turn. So at least that's the way I've felt.
The turns are about equal length. Actually, it's deceptive. It seems like one is shorter than the other. Some people think the player's turn is longer than the GM's turn.
Really? Okay.
Sorry. And some people think the GM's turn is longer than the
Scott,
player's
maybe
turn.
it's because you never earn any checks.
I don't earn checks for shit. I suck.
Well, that's a trick to playing the game, and it's one of the trickiest parts of playing the game because the GM has to give you a reason to earn checks, and then the player has to sit up and go, oh, it's time for you to earn checks. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. People in TV land, podcast land, have no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
So we're talking about the role-playing game Mouse Guard, which was designed by the eminent Lou Crane here.
I am not eminent. I am right here.
I have to use a different incorrect adjective every time you're on the show.
Based on the comic book by David Peterson. Who's also not here. So he is eminent?
If he's en route.
And I believe, when we talked about this before with you and Jared a while ago, you collaborated pretty closely on canon and things with him, at least in terms of like how the game should feel and how it should work.
Yes, the comic book author and I worked very closely together. I mean, I asked him all sorts of difficult questions, like how do you get into the Mouse Guard, and he gave me all sorts of difficult answers at 3 a.m. But anyway, the game, as we were talking about, has a turn structure to it, and the turn structures, right? It's not I go, you go per se. There's one turn in which basically the GM goes, and the GM gets to push 2 or more problems in your path, and basically it's 2 or more die rolls or a series of die rolls, and it's supposed to be 2 in the game, but if things go wrong, it can spin out to more die rolls. And then in the player's turn, every player is guaranteed to get 1 die roll, basically 1 scene or action or something, and then there's ways for you to earn more screen time. Depending on how you play.
So like on my turn, if I'm a player, then if I want to do something, I have to get one of these.
Right. So you don't, well, by default, you don't have to do anything. You're guaranteed to get to do one thing on your own of your choice as you like it per game, which is new. Like lots of games don't have that. Lots of games you might sit there for the whole session, lots of role-playing games, and you maybe roll the die once or whatever, and I fail and do anything. But in Mouse Guard, you're guaranteed like to be able to do something, but you can increase your resources in the player's turn by characterizing yourself in the GM's turn, but you have to characterize yourself by putting yourself in danger. You have to show your character as vulnerable, flawed, or otherwise in trouble, and that gets you resources to use in the player's turn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you look like you're about to say something.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
So what kind of things do I want to do in my turn? Like the game, I mean, we haven't talked a lot about mechanics or anything, but like what are some things I would do? I mean, it's a role-playing game, so I could say like I go meet with the Mistress Eleanor and talk about fancy pastries. You
could. And that if you have Mistress Eleanor as a relationship, or you've met Mistress Eleanor in the game, that would you could do that probably even without even having to spend it. One of your resources.
So what do I get if I spend it? Like, what's the point of spending it?
If there is no Mistress Eleanor, let's say your character is a cook and you want to learn about making pastries, and you can do this in Mouse Guard. It wouldn't be the strangest thing that's been done. You could actually bring Mistress Eleanor into the game, and that would cause you to spend one of these resources called a check, and that would allow you to test an ability in the game called Circles, and Circles is who your character knows. If you're successful in the test, then absolutely, a pastry chef named Mistress Eleanor. Bring her in, and then she can instruct you in pastry cooking. More often, players will use these checks to recover from their hurts or to build gear for future missions. Occasionally, a savvy GM will beat the players up really nice and hard in the GM's turn, but won't quite take them to the conclusion of their mission. So then so that's the GM's turn, and then in the player's turn, the players have to make a decision about what's more important to them: recovering their own hurts, accomplishing their own agendas, or accomplishing the mission. And that is where the magic really happens in Mouse Guard. That's where you get players making these great decisions, and they sacrifice themselves for the greater good of all mouse kind.
So they would
often.
they would on their own turn try to complete the mission, but they didn't heal themselves, so they're totally screwed.
Right. Or they go help their brother, but now they didn't heal themselves, now the mission's in jeopardy.
Right, exactly. And all of those things have happened in games that I've played. And where that really shines is in a one session game of Mouse Guard, it's cool. You're like, oh wow, I did this thing, right? But when you play the second session and you're still sick, your character's still sick because he was out in the cold and wet and rain, but you accomplished the mission anyway, that's when it really bites. That's when you're like, oh, now I need to work harder. I need to put myself in more jeopardy now, both because I'm sick and because now I need more resources to recover on my turn.
Oh, see, if you earn more checks, then you could have gotten rid of your sickness and worked on the mission.
Right.
But then you would have hurt yourself in the previous, and things might have gone differently.
Correct. Yeah, you're basically giving the GM more ammunition. The more you put yourself in jeopardy, the more potential ammunition you're giving the GM to introduce twists and to further screw you over.
So I've got the flu, so now I need 2 checks because I want to complete the mission and get rid of the flu. So in order to get a check, I put myself in danger and I break my leg. So now, even though I've got my extra check, I've got another problem.
You're sick and you're injured, but there is a major but there. So if the GM decides that that when you fail a test, he wants to injure your character, wants to he thinks it's right that your character would break his leg here. In that case, you succeed. You, if that's the mission accomplishing test, you accomplish your mission. So the GM can't just punish you. Either you're going to get a twist introduced by the GM and your character is going to stay whole confronting that twist, or you're going to get a condition in the form of hunger or fatigue or injury, and you're going to succeed at what you were after.
So when you get hurt, you got what you wanted in exchange for getting hurt.
Yeah, it's kind of the part of the mouse guard ethos. You sacrifice yourself a little bit to accomplish the mission.
Now, to me, that's actually the biggest paradigm shift from, say, traditional D&D, because there, you've got hit points.
Or even Burning Wheel.
Sacrificing 99% of your hit points doesn't have any game effect, and you get all your hit points back pretty easily.
Right, or even in Burning Wheel, I lost my foot. What did I get? Nothing.
Well, that was your fault.
I just
in
lost
that
my
case.
foot.
You could have gotten something.
Your game master clearly didn't read the adventure burner.
We got back to the village alive.
That
I
was the
guess
best we could hope for.
that counts as something.
Scott,
right?
we march off into the Siberian wilderness to die.
We
with
didn't.
like one person.
We didn't
with a
get
B2
lost and die
orienteering.
and dead. Right? That's.
Remember when Alex said, "Are you sure you want to tramp off into the snowy woods at night alone?"
Well, instead, okay, so stay still and die, as opposed, right?
Should have just fought that zombie.
Yeah,
anyway, we digress. But there weren't really mechanical consequences in D&D other than taking away gear or injuring someone, but injury was so temporary it never meant anything. Now it seems like you have to give up. Like you have to give up something, but there's a mechanical reward. I got hurt and I got what I wanted, as opposed to like the soft game master makes something up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of always comes down to the game master makes something up. Yeah. But in this case, we give the game master very strict rules to follow. Right, and I guess you're right. When you talk about failure in this game, it's very different than most role-playing games. And right, in D&D, failure can often be a full stop. It's not always a full stop. It is often a full stop. But in Mouse Guard, it's either a new plot point is introduced, a twist we call it, or you continue with the mission. You succeed, but you at a cost.
So I guess my point is, you put this in the rules of Mouse Guard, where D&D doesn't really say what to do if you fail a diplomacy check, other than you don't get what you wanted, and now what? Well, Game Master has to do something.
I think in the Dungeon Master's Guide 2, there's advice on what to do when characters fail and how to keep things moving.
If you buy all the extra books, then we'll tell you the real secrets.
Right, but what this does in Mouse Guard, though, is it keeps the pace of the game moving very quickly. And I feel like in a lot of role-playing games, if you have a story, it's an accident. In Mouse Guard, it's an eventuality. The way the mechanics interact with the way people play, it's going to create a narrative of some sort. It may not be that I hope it's not the story that you expected. It's not what you planned out, but something is going to happen. There's going to be some kind of conflict and resolution.
Well, did the idea for this system sort of come from the Mouse Guard comics? Because, I mean, if you read those, that's pretty much like how they go, is the mice want to do something, and they, usually succeed to some extent with, great, horrible sacrifice happening to them along the way. They don't ever succeed and not have any problems, in pretty much any part of it, right? It's like, you don't just fight the crab and win.
Right. Yeah, you fight the crab and one of you dies and the other one runs away.
Exactly.
Well, if you look at some my other big game, Burning Wheel, you can see that I didn't simply just take Burning Wheel and bolt Mouse Guard on top of it. I took Burning Wheel, stripped away everything but some core mechanics to it, and then said, okay, what do we need here to really make this game represent Mouse Guard? And I didn't want to make it a comic book game. I didn't want there to be paneling and gutters and inking and coloring or any kind of comic booky terms. But at the same time, I wanted there to be a rhythm to to the game that reflected the stories of the Mouse Guard comics.
I know we're getting into mechanism
Yeah.
design.
Does
The
that-
rules of the game push people to create the exact kind of story you wanted them to create, even if they don't know where that actual story will go within that rubric.
Yeah, it is a mechanism, and it is willfully designed.
Does it bother you? Like some people are always like, "Oh, Mouse Guard is like baby burning wheel or easy burning wheel." Does it bother you when people say that?
It used to really get under my skin. I don't really care anymore, but it's really not. It's its own game. I mean, one of our design philosophies for Mouse Guard was to strip Burning Wheel down to its core essentials and see what kind of game that was. And it's fun. But it's cool when you do that to a game, and you do this to any game. When you strip a game down to its core, what you think are its core essentials, you're making a value judgment. You're deciding what the core essentials of the game are. And then when you start bolting other things on top of it, you're also making a value judgment as a designer as to, what's important to you about gameplay here. So ultimately you're coming out with a different game, no matter what you say. So Mouse Guard, people, it's a cousin to Burning Wheel, but it's certainly not Burning Wheel's little brother.
Yeah, definitely. I guess, my experience, I played Burning Wheel and I sat down with Mouse Guard, flipped through the book, like, oh, it's like Burning Wheel, I get this. And then we actually sat down to play, and I realized I really should have read that whole book.
Yeah, there's a couple things that catch players, but I also, as you know from my games, you basically should read the rules and try to play it by the rules at least once.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of rules.
Well, I was running into the side problem of a lot of role-playing people will read the rules of a game, have never played it, and immediately modify it extensively before they play it.
Yeah, that drives.
I don't know what to do about that.
Bonkers. I spend a lot of time playtesting, designing and playtesting these games. Put a lot of effort, way more effort than I should, into these games.
I can imagine. Well, I played in a playtest of another game you were working on, and it was obviously rough around the edges, but obviously like the crazy cool ideas have been like added and removed all the time, and you were taking notes on like what players did, and
yeah. So it really bugs me when somebody thinks that they can simply read one of my games, understand it completely, and then begin to modify it.
Well, the metaphor I've used more and more when I argue with people like this is that if you go to a 5-star French restaurant, there's one thing on the menu. And if you ask the chef to make an alteration to that, he'll probably kick you out.
Yeah.
Right?
And even if he changes it, you paid for a 5-star meal from the guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
Why
you don't put
change it?
ketchup on it, right? There isn't even ketchup on the table. And if you ask for ketchup, they'll just look at you funny. There is a chance it could be a fancy restaurant where the chef is no good. I mean, it exists, right? But it's not going to have a 5 stars on the door, right? Mouse Guard won all kinds of awards, right?
Yeah, we won.
It basically is a 5-star RPG.
Yeah. I guess it's a 5-star RPG. That's I don't know. I'm not qualified to say that. I don't need a fancy French
We're
restaurant.
semi-objective reviewers. I'll put it up there, 5 stars.
Yeah,
We didn't say out of how many.
it definitely gets 5 stars for if for nothing else. If you don't want to give it 5 stars for the game, I mean, the physicalness of it is.
Well,
I can't even think of another
tell us a
game
little bit
that
about that,
says.
because the game was first published. It was a book.
Right.
And then there were some rumors, and then a box came out with little mouse figures just like were in the comic.
Correct.
The thing that when I read the book, the first thing I said was, I want to play Mouse Guard with those things in the comic. And then the box appeared.
Yes. That was my idea. It was actually my idea from the get-go, was to kind of have to make Mouse Guard, in addition to a game, a product, so that one might make money from it. Though that is a myth, that one makes money from good
Anything.
from good products. That is one does not make money from there. One makes money by fleecing one's customers.
That is true.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the box set was something that David Peterson and I worked on, along with the publisher Archaea. And yeah, I wasn't sold. It's funny. It was my idea. The publisher got on board. They started pushing me, and I was like, yeah, you know what? This sucks. I don't want to do this. This is crappy. And so, but I went through with it, and it came out pretty good.
I'd say so. That's what, when I bring out the book, people like ooh and ah, but when I show them the box, they're like, what's that? I want to play it.
Yeah, it's been definitely gaining momentum. People at PAX seem to really like it. And it has a little toy factor to it, like you said, with the mouse pieces and the map and whatnot, which are meant to mimic the comics. Peterson did the sculpts for the dice and the
I didn't
mouse
know that.
figures in there.
He's
Yeah,
crazy. You should follow his Twitter. His sculptures is crazy.
He's a little craftsman. So he did that something like we had to send a little model of the mouse figure to the factory, and we did want the colors on the pieces to be a little more muted, a little more natural, but it's hard without doing like the manufacturing process was very difficult, and without doing extensive sampling on the plastics, we took what we could get.
Yeah, having seen some recent experience from similar projects doing similar kinds of manufacturing,
Everyone-
at the scale
everyone
we
on
all do
Kickstarter?
manufacturing, it is not easy to get what you want without paying a lot of money.
Or going to China.
No, even if you go to China, you'll get 10 proofs back that are interesting.
Well, I mean, unless you physically go to the factory in China.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mouse Guard, it comes with cards and custom dice, character sheets, and a GM sheet, my friend, that includes on the back includes a cheat sheet for all the rules.
Oh.
Very important.
Very important.
Yeah, and a GM screen, which I use pretty extensively myself.
I need one of those for Burning Wheel.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard though. What are you going to put on it?
Well,
I mean, I had this D&D
everything.
one that was 3 fold-out panels that were separate, and each one had 9 sides. It was
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I've made a Burning Wheel screen before. I digress on this one, but the my only problem with the Burning Wheel screen, and maybe the listeners out there in TV land can give me some advice. Like, I just don't want a screen between me and my players when I play Burning Wheel. It's inappropriate.
true, because you don't have the hidden dice like you do in every other game.
Right.
Yeah.
The game master's not rolling secretly and being like, he hits you.
Well, you could just do like a mat, right? It goes out, right? Because you don't have
A
miniature, you don't have
table-sized
miniatures
sheet.
walking around a board, so
Right.
you can just put it in the middle of the table flat, and it has all the charts on it, and you can.
Hey, if it's on the table, then we're going to say the thing, you know what you should do?
All right, Jared, what should I do?
It's your favorite.
No, but there's cool stuff you
I
can do with
asked.
something like that.
I asked.
Yeah.
The problem with the mat, and I've done. We did a rules reference sheet for Burning Wheel Revised, and the problem with that and the mat is that they get buried. Like it gets
Under
like
Cheetos and Mountain Dew and everyone's books.
dice and books. Yeah.
Though with the mouse guard, the thing that really helped was that I realized once I opened the box that whenever we played, everyone had their books open to those maps, like on the insides of the covers.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
they needed to refer to them all the time. So
Yeah.
everyone like bent the covers of their books just to have them open like that. So the box set with the map in it was that saved my books.
You know that the dust cover came with a map on the back, right?
Yeah, dust cover was lost like right away.
I gotta say, I know, I don't know much about publishing, but I know dust covers is some of the most expensive things in publishing. Like, it costs a lot of monies, and I really don't like dust covers. I wish they never existed. It's like, I don't know, I just want to get rid of them.
Yeah, I was against the dust cover for Mouse Guard.
Oh.
I advocated against it. But
I mean, and even like the cover is the same thing as the same art on it too, right? So
yeah, and I wanted, if we were going to do a dust cover, then I wanted to do a separate, more like of a graphic cover for the actual book. But
Wow.
but just I went with David and Mark on their judgment on that one, and it's fine. The dust cover actually has some utility to it. Has a funny picture of me on it. It's cool.
I forgot about that.
There's a picture of me eating pizza on it.
So what kind of what's going to kill a mouse? Like, how much death is there in Mouse Guard?
Do you want to hear a horrible Mouse Guard death story?
Actually, yes.
Oh man! Tell us your role playing game stories.
So my character was walking in the woods. I was in Canada a couple years ago in Montreal for a small gaming event. I was there with Vincent and Joshua and Rob Bull, and I was playing Mouse Guard with a group of people, and one of the people with whom I was playing was a young girl. I think she was about 9, and if I'm not mistaken, her father was an avid gamer, and yeah, because that's right. Her father came up, handed her off to me. So this is her first gaming session. Maybe she had read the comics or something, but her dad was a gamer. She's there was
Did
some
the dad know who you were, or
Oh,
she
yeah,
just
yeah,
looked
yeah.
at the schedule?
Found some stranger to con.
no. He knew who I was, and
Okay.
she wanted to play Mouse Guard, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so we get into it. She's a little shy at first, as some people are, but eventually she's in there and comes down to it. There were, in the final scenario, there were mice in jeopardy. There was probably like a mouse caravan that was stopped. Mice in jeopardy. And I think even the Mouse Guard themselves were kind of pinned down by a killer shrike, and by a shrike, and she went toe to toe with it. Like while the other Mouse Guard were getting everyone to safety, she went toe to toe with the shrike, duking it out, battling, carried off into the air, swinging away, lost her sword, and lost the conflict. And I didn't think I had a chance in hell. I think she even had help from her friends, because I think that was part of the conflict was
throwing some rocks.
Was they were trying to escape and I was trying to kill her. So yeah, they were like shooting bows and throwing rocks and screaming and whatnot. And so yeah, the shrike I described and we all knew exactly what had happened when the dice hit the table and this silence, like a silent explosion. Everyone stopped and looked. I looked at her. She turned like bright pink, and because I'm a bad man, I described the Shrike impaling her on a thorn, as Shrikes do, and that's how they kill their prey. They impale them and then save them for later. And she turned pink and then got sad. And the other players were really cool. They had a little funeral for her character.
That's a great story. That's not horrible.
But she really liked the funeral. And they even all made something for her funeral. They crafted something there because all of your characters have crafty skills in Mouse Guard.
Yep.
They'll craft something, and you could tell that by the end of it. And when I took her back to her dad, I was like, we ended a little early because she died. And by died I mean I killed her in a horrible way. But she was a little crestfallen, but she definitely seemed proud of herself that she had sacrificed herself for the Guard.
But Mouse Guard is a game then that it can be dark and super serious for people who want it to be.
I personally, and no one agrees with me on this, I think Mouse Guard is the darkest fantasy game out there. It is, if you really get down there on the ground with the mice, you're in the most horrific fantasy world ever. There's no magic. There's no salvation. Everything wants to either eat you or eat the things you eat. There's nothing really, there's no nothing beneath you on the food chain.
Yeah, even your non-magical powers are pretty weak, right? No one's really super strong or super fast or super anything.
Right. As a player in the Mouse Guard, you can build up some pretty killer resources and you can muster a lot of dice and you can put a hurt on a wolf. You can't kill a wolf outright, but you can definitely drive it off. But it takes a lot of gamesmanship to get there. But it just the world in and of itself, right? Yeah, your mice. Everything else is bigger than you. Everything wants to eat you. You can't kill them. Not without some serious mouse science or mouse military action going on. So I just think it's really bleak and dark, but nobody agrees with me.
I mean, that's I never really thought about it that way because you think about games that have a dark theme, like Apocalypse World or something, right? It's
but then I'm a badass with 8 guns.
It's a scary, dark, horrible place, or who knows, or maybe vampire games and all that, right? Everything's black. The cover of the book is black, all the text is black, right? And it's supposed to be dark, but actually,
you're a superhero.
You're somehow badass in some sort of way to escape some sort of danger.
I temper the darkness in Mouse Guard with with recognizing that the comics are a heroic journey and that the world is against the heroes in this, but that's how they prove themselves heroes. And you prove yourself a hero in the game both by how you live and by how you die.
Well, it feels very medieval, which kind of fits the sort of bleak, there we are at the bottom and everything's out to kill us, because I guess that's how a peasant would feel in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, depending on what maybe 100 Years War France.
Yeah, I'm talking early Middle Ages, before things started to solidify.
It wasn't always Monty Python, it wasn't always Monty Python everywhere.
I'm talking the year 850.
People had nice lives in the year 850.
And some mice have nice lives.
The ones that stay in town and never leave.
The ones who don't join the Guard.
The big town.
Right. The other thing that's out to get you is the weather too. There are rules where the everything is out to get you. The weather, the environment, the animals, everything, even your other mice. So yeah.
That was when it really sunk in. When I was looking at the Game Master section on my turn, it's what can I do to them? And it's have it rain. And I kind of thought about, wait a minute, rain is kind of a big deal for a mouse.
Yeah, they go inside and they don't come out, and they got to make sure that the inside isn't a flooding inside.
Right. And I love that about the comics. That's, I think, maybe my favorite thing about the comics is the
when
matter.
It snows?
Well, no, it's the matter of perspective, right? And if you really get down there, it's a really imaginative universe. When you're looking at it from the forest floor, you're looking at what a leaf, what a twig, what a tiny rivulet of rain is to us, what it means to them. I like that. I like that perspective, and I feel like it gives a lot of role-playing opportunities in that it creates the necessary disassociation so that you can really imagine. You can really get in there, and you can, as people, we can identify with these problems, because that's the weird thing about Avatar association. If it's too close, it's hard for us to identify, but we create just the right amount of space, then you can get in there and kind of fill up that space with your imagination.
It's like an Arietti, right? And in Arietti, they really concentrate on all the small things as tiny people, but it's in contrast to the real full-size people living in the house. So there's always this sort of connection going on, right? Whereas opposed if it's just mice, you're just getting the small world and you're not thinking about the big world at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And David was very explicit when we designed the game. No humans, no cats, no rats.
Oh.
So basically all the kind of products of humanity. I imagine no dogs either, now that I think about it. But
Makes sense. So we've got the big great Elder Cthulhu moose who will come by occasionally.
yes. Oh, yes. Moose God. He'll journey through the territories once in a while. That was a really fun mission I ran once. I had a springtime mission, herd of moose coming.
A herd?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like a family of them or whatever
Going
were
all
coming.
out.
Gwendolyn's like, divert them. Divert those. Yeah.
How about just hide and wait for them to pass?
Well, what if
Well,
they're
no.
headed straight for your town?
Well, no, because with the spring moose comes calves, and with calves come wolves, and wolves eat mice, especially hungry wolves. So yeah, that was the mission, was get out there and divert them. And
How is a mouse going to divert a moose?
they did it. I think they actually used the wolves that were chasing the mooses to divert them, just chase them off.
That's a pretty dangerous
It was
ally.
a really intense mission.
That's big time.
That was deep into our mouse guard run. It was deep into the campaign.
How often, how many, if I was going to do a full mouse guard campaign, how many sessions do you usually go?
I would recommend playing no less than 4. If you're going to sit down, if you're going to buy the book and you're going to get your friends together, play 4 sessions of mouse guard. And if you like it, if you're into it and your characters are starting to develop, I would go 8 to 12. Most of my games are built for 8 to 12 sessions to really sing.
That's usually the length. That's as long as we can get a campaign to go, right?
Well, that's the biggest problem I've had with so-called indie RPGs or non-D&D in general, is that most people only have the convention experience of the one-off, or the one-off. They play the game for their friends to get them into it, but they never get like Free Market. A lot of people never get the next session when you kind of realize how you're advancing and how you're changing.
Yeah, something I've noticed is that when I run the Free Market and they sort of realize it's just one session, they burn everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Burning Wheel, all that Arth is gone at the end of that one-off.
Yeah. I know. It's a problem. My games are built for long-term play.
Right. And it's I like that, but it's so hard to. It's hard for most people to get one-off play, let alone long-term play.
I know. But I'm a fanatic about the medium, so
yeah.
I
mean, it's I want it too, but it's hard to get people to show up.
I know. I agree.
I think everyone will show up tomorrow.
But it's easy to get everyone to sit around and talk into their Xbox Live headsets. Weird.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You need to make an RPG for Xbox Live.
But we could argue all that. The physicality of at least this kind of role-playing game, I think, is a big part of it. And it'd be hard to replicate that.
Oh, I agree.
Short of some sort of future sense where you have a table where it kind of projects images of everyone around it.
I mean,
and there's a shared space that you have.
I mean, even rolling dice, right? It's you can roll dice on the computer, but rolling, having the dice in your hand, the person gives you the helping dice, the whole thing. You can't,
right?
Everyone looking in the dice pit as they turn over.
Well, that's something I've noticed. You make a big deal in multiple games about if you're helping, you physically hand them the die.
Right.
It has to be, because then you can even see, if you roll, if that die helped or not.
Right. Also, I think one of the core components of my designs is that I recognize that there are people sitting around a table playing these games, and I want the people to be interacting. When I demoed the game for Mike of Penny Arcade at PAX, and I demonstrated the helping rules to them, and at first they were like, at first they'd never seen anything like that. So first, of course, oh, that's weird. 1 or 2 rolls with the helping, they were like, oh, I get it. That's cool. And then we didn't even have the multicolored dice. Whatever. I just had one set of dice, and they were just passing. Just because we're physical creatures. And so when you get that experience of, I am telling you what I'm doing, I'm saying I'm helping, but then I'm handing you something, you get the experience that it's the illusion of the experience that you're actually helping. It really works.
I think everyone in their head when they hand it is thinking, with my axe.
Well, maybe. I hope not. Not Gimli, not my favorite part of those movies.
Nah.
I just watched them yesterday.
Whatever. Anyway.
So if there's someone out there, right, regardless of RPG level experience, and they want to play some mouse guard, right, what should they do besides obviously buy it? What should their first thing that they should do?
Other than read it, I guess.
Yeah,
we talked about
reading, buying. Okay.
Well, you can read the rules. I mean, I recommend the box set. I think the box set is actually easier to learn than the book.
Is the box set still able to be gotten?
It is. It is still in print.
That's good.
It is still out there. So So I recommend the box set because the cards are, make everything visual. The dice really make everything very clear, and the character sheet for the square character sheet and then the square GM sheet have all of the rules of the game on them between the two of them.
Yeah, I like how they're the same size as the Mouse Guard comics. It's really cool.
Just if you're gonna do it, you got to do it.
Right.
Anyway, honestly, I recommend sitting down with a friend and doing a one-on-one mission. I'm more and more a fan of this. The more I play, and the more I do them myself, I love one-on-one missions. I'm in the middle of doing a Burning Wheel one-on-one with one of my friends right now, and I love it.
Oh.
And Mouse Guard, you're not going to get the full synergy of all the helping rules, and conflicts and stuff are going to be hard. So start easy. Don't go crazy, and just do a very simple Mouse Guard mission as a kind of a trainer. And then you two go and advocate the game to the rest of your group. Much easier to advocate, we have learned, when you have a wingman. And when it's just the crazy GM being like, I got a new game. Nobody ever's like, yeah, whatever. Just come on, where's the D&D? But when it's people on both sides of the screen going, we should try this, things go much easier.
Oh,
I never thought of the solo, because the mere thought of a solo D&D game just like gives me goosebumps.
Well, I mean,
dread.
it's like you think about any one-on-one RPG, and it always seems like an awkward thing to do. Like, it's technically you can do it, but it always seems like a weird thing, right?
What's weird about it?
I don't know. It just seems like, imagine like me and Rim were sitting here. It's like, okay, Rim, you're the GM, and it's me. It's like,
all right, the dragon's about to eat your mom. What you doing?
Oh, shit. Oh, I guess, how powerful am I? Am I going to fight this dragon, or am I going to run the hell away?
I guess for me, what would make it awkward is that when there's at least one other player there, there's always that ability to retreat from the baleful gaze of the game master. Like, the story is looking at you, you can always like kind of look away, and then the other player might say something. But when it's just you and me, then you present a situation, and there is nobody to speak but me.
Well, yes, and that's, I think, a feature of solo play is that there's no downtime, so it's very intense. You play a lot faster, but at the same time, the GM hopefully will learn rather quickly not to be a fucking dick. Because I'm a very, very generous GM as a solo GM. I like to talk. I like to bandy ideas back and forth. Play. Oh, what about that?
When it's not solo, watch out.
I don't play another character or anything like that. I'm not like I'm not GMing myself.
Right.
But no. But right. But no, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes. But when I have 5 people at the table being like, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. What did you want to do? What did you say? Okay, now it's your turn. Right. It just because you get human beings only have so much, ego shielding. We can only kind of be patient for so long before we start telling people to shut the fuck up.
Maybe we should try that, Rim.
You want to try it?
I don't know. We just pick some game and do what?
Hey, well, the thing that I believe where my games are very strong in this is that they can be very personal, and you can do like a really cool personal story. And it's not just about basically getting lucky, rolling some numbers, defeating a monster or whatever, but you're playing out, accomplishing a goal or a belief or something like that. So when it feels natural that you're always on, because suddenly you're the protagonist in the story. It's about you. It's about this thing now. So yeah, try it, you guys.
I think we should.
Yeah.
So all right. So thanks for having me on the show, guys.
It's always a pleasure. We got to hang out more.
As always,
You live like right down the street.
Man, I forgot to bring your DVD that I borrowed a year ago.
Oh, they were 11?
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did. I liked it a lot. I still haven't figured out how to make a game out
I
of
know,
it.
we tried forever.
Well, I know at least we need a big red button in the middle of the table.
Right.
Any other part of the game, I don't know.
I know, and I'm trying to go with that constraint, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I think of it, like,
but
it
do you
seems
see
cool.
like how you want it to be a game?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
want to be in that situation.
Well, part of me is like, well, let's just make it a Yeep form LARP or something, and
that's not a bad idea.
and just because you could make it so you can only play once. But then you could
Yeah.
also make it Battlestar Galactica and make
Yep.
it,
You
so
can-
Granted,
could
I'm
also
really
have
down
different-
on those Battlestar Galactica games because they all have, like, Shadows over Camelot, and all of them
Oh yeah.
have this horrible mechanic of you can kind of say what you've got in your hand, but you can't explicitly say it, and the rules are just so mushy that I can't. Like, I rage when I read.
Yeah, they're
rules like that.
unenforceable like BS rules. You know.
It should either be silent or you can say anything.
interesting. Anyway, so I'll bring that DVD back soon.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Anyway, Well, at least I didn't fumble during the interview.
Whatever.
Anyway, I will be with you guys at Kineticon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Kineticon, we'll schedule him wherever he wants to be. So if you guys want to see Luke Crane doing stuff.
I am really excited to run the panels I ran at PAX East at Kineticon. I'm going to run my Intro to Burning Wheel panel.
Oh, that's
Alright.
good.
Complete with gorgeous illustrations and slideshow.
Ooh.
And I am going to run the D&D You Never Knew panel, which is about the 1981 edition of D&D.
I really wanted to go to that, actually.
Wait, no, so wait, I'm always confused about like the different colors, right? So I have the one we got it at a Goodwill store in Rochester. It's 3 boxes, red, green, blue. Is that the one you're talking about, or are you talking about a different one?
You have 3
There are 3 boxes. One's red, and that's like box 1. Then there's like green is box 2, and blue is box 3.
It's actually red is 1, blue is 2, green is 3.
It might be the green and the blue might be backwards. Red is definitely box number 1.
That's probably Mentzner edition. That's probably the 1983 edition.
So it's not the one you're talking about.
It is not. I'm
Okay.
talking about the one before that. Because they're
So is that like the little tiny box?
no. It was a box set. I'm pretty sure it was a box set. And it was the red box and blue box. But there was a red box and blue box before there was a red box and blue box and green
Okay.
box.
All right.
Basically,
So it's not the pink box
you're
or
gonna
the
have
white
to
box.
You're gonna have to come to the lecture. I explain it all.
right.
I have slides. I have a little timeline.
We should put this on YouTube so we can.
If you want to record it, that's fine.
We'll video it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm excited to see you guys at Kineticon, and then I'll see you again at PAX Prime.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Back
Just booked my booth today.
Very nice. Very nice.
So there you
We're
go.
putting together, we're trying to figure out what we're going to lecture on there.
All right. Are you working on any games that you were free to talk about? I mean, you must be working on something, right?
We are working on a bunch of stuff at Burning Wheel headquarters, and we're neck deep in playtesting. We've made some really, really cool discoveries, rules-wise.
Ooh, Discovery.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we haven't gone forward with any of these. I'm glad we haven't released any of them in any capacity, because especially over the winter, the developments were sweet. But
So if you would have released too soon, you wouldn't have had these nice discoveries in the game.
Right.
It's good to take your time.
yeah. So we're working hard on them. It's a slow process, but we're confident that when these come out, you guys are going to like them.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.